Sand and Digital.
There's Graham Hurley going through the S's, and once again up towards Motorcraft Hill. Hurley down the back straight. Surprised me actually to see Seaton opening that gap over Dick Johnson last couple of laps.
One of the other locals is lurking behind this man as well, Tim Slarko in the pink Rover Vitesse 96 FM entry of Alf Barbagello.
This car for sale?
Yeah.
$35,000.
Take a dozen.
Quite surprised that Alf Barbagello, who's so well known over here in the West, just a sprint car as they like to call it, and does a lot of sponsorship, not only of the circuit but also some of the cars here. There's Tim Slarko in the Alf Barbagello car's Rover Vitesse. He continues along. We saw a little bit of him last year on the East Coast, but most of the Westies prefer to stay at home and do their racing. We occasionally catch up with Tim Slarko on rounds such as Adelaide and an occasional one in Melbourne. They, of course, do their racing here and then head for Bathurst or perhaps the Castrol 500 at Sandown that we'll be covering. Let's recap the placings for you. Glenn Seaton is our race leader for round 4. Dickie Johnson is still second. Larry Perkins runs in third. Lap 40 of 55, round 4 of the Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship. We're watching the battle for third. Larry Perkins, Greg Hansford, and of course the two JPS BMWs, the man sitting right behind Hansford at the moment being the series leader, that's Jimmy Richards. Coming down to the right-hander at Park Royal.
I've just done some calculations. It's very early to start speculating, but should Glenn go on to win, he lifts his point score to 106 from 67. And Jim Richards, who's currently back in 5th position and who's also leading his class of under 2.5 litre capacity, would move on to 87. So we see a real elongation in that gap.
Let's check the Castrol GTX2 race splits. Glenn Seaton, as you can see, has opened that gap up over Dick Johnson, 5.80 seconds. And then, of course, then back to Larry Perkins in third. Well, that's 18.2 seconds. So everything is going so smoothly at the moment for Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Nissan Skyline, number 15.
I still think there's a lot more to come from this battle here. Jim Richards and Greg Hansford. Greg, you'll recall, made a real charge in the first probably 25 laps, I guess, but now you're just starting to see a slight ragged edge creeping into the act. And if anything, Jim Richards is getting just a little stronger as he now goes down through on the inside, and that would move him up to 4th position. Behind Larry Perkins, Hansford dropping back one, and then behind him, Tony Longhurst in the second M3.
Oh, going to have a drag race now, up over the top of Motorcraft Hill and back down the hill again.
Now this exposes an interesting thing, Pete, the fact that perhaps the BMW doesn't climb hills as well as we thought, and that's not good news for the BM team when you start considering things like the James Hardy 1000.
That's exactly right, Neil. I think it was George Fury who was telling me yesterday that the climb up the hill here, Jim was using, look at this, using second gear when most of the other cars were using third.
He's just going to make Jim work on the tyres a bit. I think Greg might have been a little asleep there for a while. He was off the pace.
Well, he's got no shortage of grunt in a straight line. And the thing that both he and Dick, and indeed the two OXO car drivers, keep mentioning all the time is the enormous torque these cars have coming out of a corner. And that's something that it appears as though the BMW doesn't have at this stage. It's a rever, makes a lot of noise and is very quick on a flat piece of road, but we're just seeing a chink in the armour in a course with some undulations in it.
Here's an uphill section now. We'll just see if Greg does come up on the tail of Jim Richards.
This is the top of the Motorcraft Hill, the longest straight in Wanneroo Park, 2.41 kilometres. Now Hansford makes a run.
He needs to be on the inside coming out of here to get the run for the next turn. That's where Jim's had it over him.
And you notice how Jim is really covering his ground very carefully and then just eases across to the middle of the road, which means that Greg has to go one way or the other and really show his hand. You won't fool Richards pretty quickly.
No way. $5,000 bonus to be on top of the leaderboard. Jim would really appreciate that.
Certainly interesting to see see how much these cars vary in performance from track to track. The BMW was so much stronger than everything else at Lakeside. It seemed like we were in for a one-horse race in the Touring Car Championship this year.
Here's a good scrap. Here's Gracie coming back through the field. Peter Brock was running in 8th spot, and Gracie with fresh tyres. These two don't attend their fan club meetings. And Gracie will make a big move here on the inside. Carrying race cam again. The Bob Jane T-Mart's Commodore. Watch the horsepower now as they work the Motorcraft Hill.
Interesting news from both their respective camps as they're heading to Spa for the 24-hour enduro about the middle of the year. And Alan Grice intends to do the Nürburgring round of the World Touring Car Championship. Hey, Rocky, how much ground do you need to have to cover?
You get the impression Rocky's just having a bit of fun back there. It's pretty lonely when you're running 8. Here comes Gricey setting him up for a run down the inside. Now we'll get fair dinkum about it. There's Rocky looking straight ahead. Race cams gives you the shot. Rocky goes in as tight as he can on Alan Grice.
Brock with the arm on the windowsill. One of the cars isn't handling and one of them's not going in a straight line. It's not a happy day for the Commodore lads.
They look good over this part of the course, the Commodores, but they really throw them around.
And they still sound nice.
Les Small, the boss of the Roadways team, claims 450 horsepower from the Alan Grice Commodore.
One of the other things that he said to us yesterday, which I found interesting, was the fact that the newer car, the VL model, is capable of being revved up to about 7.2.
Stronger conrods, stronger push rods. Yes, it's a more durable engine. Pop a bit of a caning.
And by comparison, you're talking at around the 6.7, 6.8 mark for Peter Brock.
Got 10 laps remaining in this 55-lap round 4 of the Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Championship from Wanneroo Park Raceway in Western Australia. There's Racecam travelling with Gricey as he comes back through the pack. Not had the most successful weekends, but I tell you what, he's not a quitter. He keeps at it all the time.
One of the interesting things about the Grice cockpit is the enormous instrumentation available to him. Look at the way Gricey flings it around. He's a cowboy. He loves it. But he's got a brake balance bar just down to the left of the steering wheel, a little red knob that you can see there. That adjusts. You'll notice the arrows front to rear, brake bars front to rear, and then down on the right-hand side of the seat, he's got another more fierce brake bias arrangement. And then a great array of circuit breakers and toggle switches, and he's got temperature readouts on just about everything on the car, including a little computerized readout just over here on the right-hand side of the dashboard.
You've obviously been studying the cockpit layout problem for running that.
One can only dream.
That's Gricey. And we've picked up Gricey for the Australian Touring Car Championship this year. Thanks very much to Bob Jane, because Gricey was planning on going to Europe, and when the World Touring Car Championship collapsed in one screaming heap, Bob jumped in and thought that Grice should be here running a Commodore, and he's added a lot of interest to this year's Australian Championship. And he's sensational through here. Let's recap the placings for you on the scoreboard. This of Glenn Seaton leads the race. Dick Johnson runs in second, and third is Larry Perkins. Lap 48 of 55, round 4 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. 21-year-old Glenn Seaton continues to lead, 5+ seconds clear of Dickie Johnson. And there goes Seaton heading up to the S's. Georgie Fury gets an early shower. There's wife Marg keeping lap times going for Glenn Seaton. A couple of bad rounds for the friendly farmer from Calmalmo in New South Wales. The scrap that is developing, though, is for third. It involves Larry Perkins in the NZ Fluid Connectors Commodore on screen at the moment, and the man closing on him rather dramatically is Jimmy Richards in the JPS BMW M3. Perkins has driven a copybook race. He's had plenty of pressure on him since the race started. He's been able to fend off Greg Hansford. Had a great scrap going with Alan Grice. He's going to find a rather aggressive Jim Richards. He's getting off the road there a little bit, coming over the lip. As the laps now dwindle, and Jim knows it's third here, will keep him probably on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm just doing some calculations at the moment, and I think that Jim ends up with somewhere in the region of about 87 points. It's all if and but. We've still got laps to go, so I won't get too excited about all that. But really
be terrific if someone could come up with a point score system that the average person could understand.
Well, you need a calculator, a slide ruler, a protractor, and then an hourglass to sort it out. There's so many points tables.
And an IQ.
That's the one I didn't bring with me.
So Larry Perkins, here's Jimmy Richards, really throwing the little M3 around. Series leader after 3 rounds, running 4th at the moment on the racetrack. Down to right-hander at Park Royal. Richards, car number 3. Of course, the M3 BMW enjoying tremendous success overseas this year with a couple of rounds of the World Touring Car Championship. Very successful in round 2 in Spain last weekend. Not so successful when they weighed in on the Metrical fluid check at the opening round at Monza when they're all disqualified. So there's Richards. And it will get closer and tighter with Perkins as the race goes down in the final few laps. Let's check out the race splits. And Glenn Seaton, as you can see, has opened that gap on Dick Johnson, now 6.80 seconds. And from Dick Johnson back to Larry Perkins, 15.40 seconds. So, if anything, Perkins has picked up just a little bit. Was out to 18 a while ago. Richards and Perkins still a dice for 3rd on the road. Seaton, meantime, doing it very, very comfortably in car number 15. Johnson still running in 2nd, and Perkins here in 3rd. There's Dickie Boy, 17. And this will be a very, very pleasing result for Dick Johnson this afternoon. Did all the controversy of the problems they had at Lakeside after coming through the field like a man possessed. And all the hoo-ha about the eligibility. 7 days suspension and 24 hours for his partner Greg Hansford. He's come back to Western Australia. He's given this race a very, very good shake indeed. And we expect the little Cosworth Sierra to get quicker almost at each outing. Dick has great faith in this car. Very easy on tyres. He's obviously enjoying being up at the front of the field after spending a couple of the years in mid to rear field in the Mustang.
What'll be interesting is just how quick these cars are along that very long straight at Adelaide International Raceway next weekend. And again, we have presented with a new set of facts when there's certainly no rise and fall in the Adelaide circuit. She's all flat strap, big long straight, a couple of squiggles up the back to make a nuisance of themselves, and that horrific bowl where tyres, the outside tyres on the left-hand side of the car, get a real workout. So again, not, I guess, all that favoured for the V8s, but what they lose in the roundabout, they pick up on the swing, because down that straight they'll probably be really hauling.
And Frank Gardner of the BMW team, a little pessimistic about his team's chances in Adelaide. He thinks that long straight might kill them.
Talking about killing them, car number 4, Tony Longhurst, makes a stop. They had the boot of the car up. I wonder whether or not they were putting any fuel in. Pretty unusual thing to be doing at this race distance, unless they undercalculated their fuel requirements. Leaders on their 53rd, 54th lap, and now heading around towards gaining the last lap board. In fact, it's just gone out. So a little less than 1 lap to go for Dick Johnson here in 2nd place.
There's our race leader, Glenn Seaton. We're riding with Glenn. Race cam as he heads over the S's and heading up to Motorcraft Hill. It's been a copybook drive by Glenn Seaton, who of course had team leader George Fury problems with breaking an axle on the starting line, and had a lot of pressure in the opening laps from the Commodore boys. They dropped out of Park Royal, the right-hander, for the final time. And Seaton, in the Peter Jackson Nissan Skyline, still holding about a 6.8 second advantage over Dick Johnson in Shell Ultra. Cosworth forward and down the hill now for the final time.
That means the score for Seaton: a 1st at Calder, 4th Simmons, 2nd Lakeside, looking good for a win here as he comes out of Yokohama for the last time.
Checkered flag at the ready, and he is going to do it. 21-year-old Glenn Seaton, Nissan know-how. They take round 4 today at Wanneroo Park. Clear of Dickie Johnson. What a drive in the Shell Ultra High Ford Cosworth Sierra. And third place will go to Lightning Larry Perkins in the NZ Connectors Commodore, clear of Jimmy Richards. Great finish, great race.